So let's say you are 50 years old and you have absolutely no savings at the moment for retirement. In this video, we're going to explore the exact steps that you need to take to make sure that you can retire happy and with enough money before it truly does get too late. This involves setting clear expectations over the next 15 to 20 years, understanding your current finances and making changes, as well as then putting that all together and setting a clear strategy to get to the point of retirement where you have enough to live off. Based on fresh data from the FCA, the current average pension is around £63,800, which, if that gained about 3% every single year, would give you around £3,000 extra every single year in your pension, which is a little bit, but it's not enough to live off. If you're 50 and over, then there's a few things that you'll need to do in this particular order to start to look at your finances and plan towards that road to retirement. Firstly is sitting down and starting to plan out the next 15 to 20 years, thinking about your expectations about what does retirement truly look like. The reality is you're not going to have the biggest pension in the world, because unless you start at age 21 and investing into the stock market, or if you're earning the big bucks and you're able to quickly recuperate a large pot of money in the next 15 years, then we're going to go for the kind of average rate here. We're also going to make a few assumptions, for example, that your house will be fully paid off in terms of the mortgage, that you'll be taking 1 to 2 holidays a year, and you have modest outgoings in terms of all of your expenses. What you should do firstly is list out everything that you expect retirement to be. Where are you going to be living? What kind of house are you going to be living in? How much does it cost? How many holidays are you going to be taking a year? Will you have a brand new car every 3 years on finance, or will you buy a nice expensive car in cash? All of these decisions are going to be really important to set that ultimate end goal figure of what you need to achieve and how much money you need every single year to maintain a healthy retirement. Okay, so now you've looked at what does the 65-year-old version of yourself see as retirement and what does that look like, but now we're going to start thinking about putting a strategy and a plan together to start actually saving money. The reality is you're going to have to start saving now and start saving as much as possible to get to the point where you'll be able to retire comfortably. Before we jump into that, definitely subscribe to the channel below. It really helps out a small growing finance community here on YouTube, and you'll get recommended loads of other great finance videos on my channel, so hit subscribe below. Right, so the main part of this is starting to look at all of your expenses that you have at the moment in your current budget on a monthly basis. The best way to start saving money, if you don't feel like you have enough income at the moment, is just to look at your current expenses and outgoings. Track your money every single month. Use an app if you need to, use a spreadsheet, whatever works best for you. This is all about really looking at the categories of things you spend your money on. So if you're buying a coffee every single day when you go out, or if you're spending money on certain luxuries, at the end of the month you'll have this full snapshot view of the essentials like your mortgage or your rent, your bills, general living costs that you can't really avoid. But then you start to drill down into the smaller expenses where you can really start to cut back on them month by month. And this is how you start to save £50 a month, £100 a month, £200 a month, by looking at what you can cut your money down. Now, if you're at a stage of life where you're in your 50s and you need to cut down, this is the time where you might need to make a few sacrifices for the sake of a long-term gain in the future. So for the next 5 to 10 years, what can you really cut down on? So go through all of your finances and start to identify these key areas. If you're going to Waitrose and shopping there every single week, go to Aldi and buy some non-branded foods instead. If you've got a few luxury items, trade them in for cheaper items. You don't need them for the next 10 years. And if you drive a really expensive car, trade it in, get a cheaper one. Short-term loss but long-term gain is the mindset here. The whole point of this exercise is to start creating this delta between your new budget, the lower budget where you're spending less money, but moving all of that money that you now don't spend into investing in the stocks and shares ISA so it can start compounding over the next 15 years. Now, 15 years is still a decent amount of time to start getting some gains in the stock market, as well as saving a few £100s a month, but it's not going to be as good as starting from when you was 21 years old. So those monthly investments need to be as much as possible that you can make in terms of your budget. And this is going to make a huge difference by the time it comes to retirement. The difference is living on the poverty line, or at least having some kind of money to enjoy luxuries in your retirement, and without worrying about switching on the heating in the winter and worrying about the cost of the bills. Now, part 3. So we've assessed the initial finances and what retirement really looks like for you. Part 2, we've looked into your current budget and how to cut down some of your expenses to save in the more immediate. Thirdly is how you start to manage your money now you're starting to save and invest it. Investing is this wonderful thing that we have in the world, where Einstein once said that compounding is the 8th wonder of the world, and having time in the stock market can really do wonders. For example, the S&P 500, which is one of my more favorite index funds, is the top 500 companies in the US and has performed it really well. Since its inception in 1923, 2023, on average, it's gained about 10% every single year. Some years have done really well, some years not so well, but as an average, it's about 10% every year, which is really, really good. And investing in index funds is really simple because rather than having to research and understand individual companies, instead by putting your money into an index fund that can still gain a decent amount every single year, you'll be spreading your money across hundreds of companies, thus by diversifying your portfolio, lowering some of that risk rather than just sticking it all on Tesla or Bitcoin or something ridiculous like that. There are tons of index funds out there on platforms like Vanguard, Fidelity, and there are loads more across the UK. They're really, really good. Choose the platform that you like with a great trusted company, and within that platform there will be loads of different funds where you can actually invest your money. It's really, really simple in a stocks and shares ISA. Surprisingly, only about 1 in 3 people actually invest their money in the UK, which to me was really, really shocking. Investing is a great thing and you really shouldn't be afraid of putting your money away. And yes, the money can go down, but if you're investing it across the top 500 companies in the US or in the FTSE 100 in the top 100 companies in the UK, it's not going to plummet down to zero and lose all of your money, because if that happened, something would be incredibly wrong with the economy and there would be a much bigger issue. So yes, it can go down, but it can also go up. And as history has shown in the stock markets, it's always gone up over a long period of time. And that's what investing is all about. And also, as we talk a lot about in this channel, if you're just putting your money into a normal savings account at 0.1% interest, when inflation is 5%, that means you're going to be losing about 4.9% every single year, because inflation and the cost of living is going up more than what your actual savings account is. So that means that the same £1,000 you invest today is going to be worth less because things cost more in a year's time. And you don't just want your money to sit in that account, lose value, or even maintain it at the same rate as inflation. You need to be beating inflation to make sure that your money is growing, and that's really important. If you invested £200 a month at about 10% interest gains a year for the next 15 years, you'd have around £80,000 in your bank account at the end of it, which isn't a huge amount, but it's a really, really good start, and it's above the national average. If you can invest more than this and you was putting in £500 a month, that would be around £200,000 after those 15 years. Or let's say you had a little bit better performance, which is quite likely, and you had 15% annualized average return, that could be £300,000, which is a really, really healthy pension to live off. And to compare the difference, if you was investing that £500 a month and you got 15% in the stock market every single year, when you look at just the cash value of that, so let's say you gained no interest, out of that £300,000, only 90,000 of that is cash that you've actually saved. The rest of it is pure interest, and that is the beauty of the stock market. Next, we'll look at how you can stack the deck when it comes to your own finances. Now, so far we've looked at assuming the current situation stays the same, you're earning the same money, and instead, rather than focusing on earning more money, you could just look at your own budget and try and cut down some of those expenses to save some extra cash. But if you're looking at your retirement lifestyle and how much you can save by cutting your expenses now and it's not enough, the third option now is starting to look at boosting your income, whether that's taking a new job, trying to get a promotion, or just simply asking for more money at work. By moving around companies, it's really easy to bump up your salary by 10 to 15% every single time you make that external move. So it could be a really good way to add a few extra £1,000 into your bank account every single year, because if you're living off the same budget but earning more money, you could just transfer that excess cash that you get in your new salary straight into investments. Likewise, if you've got a hobby that you could monetize, for example selling things on eBay, starting a Fulfilled by Amazon business, using your design or writing skills and selling those services online, creating a YouTube channel, there are loads of ways in 2022 to create an online business or a side hustle that doesn't have to be hugely or wildly successful, but if you're just bringing in a few £100s a month, that in itself can be invested into the stock market and is a way to add a few extra £100 into your savings every single month without having to change jobs, get a promotion or anything like that. So there's another good second option there. The great thing is with a business is that it has unlimited potential. So if things do take off and grow, then there is unlimited potential there to earn as much money as possible. And I'm a huge fan of creating multiple streams of income. So try a few different business ideas and see what works and what doesn't work. And I'm sure in the process you will at least earn something from trying it. If you're short of ideas of creating a side hustle or a side business, there is loads of inspiration on my channel to fire up and inspire you in some of the really, really good online ways to make money these days. So definitely check out my channel and check out other people's channels on this topic. Now, another option, although not as popular, we've looked at cutting down your finances, trying to think about earning extra money, but if a lot of that's quite hard, you could consider working for longer. At the moment, the retirement age is 65, and that's very, very shortly going to go up to around 67 years old. So I think by the time I get to retirement, that might bump itself up a little bit further. But if you're happy to work then, and you're healthy, you could definitely do that. So if you work for an extra 3 or 4 years until you're 70, then that could make a huge difference because you have a few more years of saving, a few more years of earning, and a few more years in the stock market before you then need to start taking a drawdown of the full pension amount that you have. I get it, not everyone wants to work as long as possible, and really you want to enjoy your retirement while you're young and healthy, so the younger you can retire, the better. But if you're struggling to find a new job to make some income, or the side hustles or side businesses don't really work, then it's a great way to cover some of that shortfall and just have a few more years of earning an income. And there you have it. Sit down, plan out your strategy, assess your finances, and work out what you need to do right now over the next 15 years to have that retirement that you've always wanted to have. There's still loads of time to build up a decent pot of money, invest it, and get some gains in the process, and live a happy, financially healthy retirement. So it's never too late. But I hope this will really set your expectations. If you're wanting to take 10 holidays a year, drive supercars in your retirement, and live in a huge home, and you currently have no savings whatsoever, then that's not really going to be a reality. So it's all about understanding your vision and seeing how realistic it is from now, and that's really going to help. That in itself is a massive financial move to plan all of that out. If you can understand your goals, you can start to plan financially of what you need to do right now today to start saving towards your retirement. You'll not only just have an understanding of how much you need to save every single month, but also what your annualized returns need to be in the stock market. If you're saving enough where you only need to get 5% a year, then you know that you're going to be ahead of schedule because you can invest in funds where you're getting 10 to 15% a year. But if you're adding it all up and you're seeing that you need to be earning about 20% interest a year, then there's something wrong with the monthly repayments that you're paying into the account, and you need to up that to get to the same endpoint. Ideally, you need to be running your numbers on the understanding or expectation that you'll be making about 10% a year in the stock market, and that's a very average, considered figure to work off a lot of your numbers and how much to save on a regular basis. Investment funds can go up as well as down, and it can be a little bit turbulent, but 15 years is a long enough time to see a good amount of profit in that entire fund. But you need to make sure that you're regularly topping it up every single month and putting as much money in there as possible to have the highest pot at the end of those 15 years. To learn more about investing, I created a great video here about the Vanguard Stocks and Shares ISA funds and the platform, looking at how I made my money go from zero to £122,000 over the past few years. So this video will really help you understand all about the stock market and investing in a really easy, simple platform. So check this out, and I will see you in this video.